our relationship with the Americans, and as soon as I saw the title, I went, "Oh, I wish I'd thought of that," because that's exactly what we've been doing lately. And it used to be a little bit more of kind of younger, smarter brother, kind of tapping them on the shoulder and go, "You might want to think before you go to Vietnam. Just a thought." But that's what we used to do.
No, absolutely. There's been a significant change in our approach to the U.S. I mean, two things have happened. First of all, the U.S. under Bush has become a much more aggressive power, much more clearly a bully in the world. Secondly, Canada has become more acquiescent, more helpful, more of a helpmate to this bully. So you get this really significant departure from where Canada used to stand in the world. We used to be, we've always had a close relationship with the U.S., but we used to be more focused on peacekeeping, on internationalism, on promoting international peace and justice. Not perfectly, we'd have a lot of flaws, but we kept, we did that to a significant degree and kept our distance to some extent from the U.S. when it went off in crazy directions. We're much more getting on the bandwagon with them now, and unfortunately we're doing it at a time when they're in a particularly aggressive bully-like mode.
I think this is close to them at their worst, because it used to be at least there was the other big bully down the block, the Russians, and so at least you knew that the two bullies were busy eyeing each other, and there was some balance there.
Yeah.
Now it's a one bully neighborhood now.
No, that's right. It is a one bully neighborhood now. It's very much a case. I think this is the worst we've ever seen the U.S. behave. I mean, it's true. In the past, they were extremely aggressive. They've intervened all over the world. I mean, most notably, I guess everybody knows about Vietnam, of course. But at least back then, there were two superpowers in the world, and it kind of countered, had some kind of restraining impact. Obviously, not very much. They were, devastating in Vietnam. But the Soviets represented something of an opposition that kept them somewhat in check. Since the demise of the Soviet Union, I mean, it's been absolutely clear that a small group of neoconservatives within the Republican Party and some within the Democrats as well have, systematically tried to make U.S. foreign policy even more aggressive in the world than it already was, and to make the U.S. the uncontested dominant superpower of the world. I mean, it's really quite frightening the extent of the lawlessness and the extent of the aggression that we see in the U.S. now.
I've interviewed Jack Granatstein a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like Jack.
Yeah, I like him too.
He's a very personable guy.
He is a nice guy, yeah.
But man, he seems to really want us to be a military power. And you know what? I don't think that's us. It's like fine to want that, but I'm not comfortable. I like the blue helmet.
Yeah,
and I know Army guys like to kill people, but maybe it's time that we had a different thought about that.
I think the truth is that ordinary Canadians really like the idea of Canada as a peacekeeping nation, as a nation that promotes internationalism and the rule of law. And that's the way they've always seen themselves. And this idea that's come up, that's brought up by neoconservatives, people like Jack Granatstein and David Berkison and a whole bunch of other people, that we really have to get back to war making. I think it's out of sync with what ordinary Canadians want. And it's not that Canadians are resolutely pacifist in all cases. I mean, look how bravely we fought in the First World War and the Second World War. When we have to, we're quite willing to go to war. The key question we have to ask ourselves is this a war that we should be fighting? Is the war in Afghanistan a war that we should be involved in? It's not, Stephen Harper always tries to define it as, we won't cut and run, we're going to take a firm stand. Well, there's no reason to take a firm stand if the war is a wrong war, if we shouldn't be there in the first place. So that's where the question should begin. The issue is not, are Canadians brave, are we strong fighters? Absolutely, when we have to be. But I think when we don't have to be, what we really want is to promote peace, justice, international security, these kinds of things in the world. If you look at Afghanistan, we are being extremely helpful. First of all, we're doing the dirty work down there in Kandahar. We're dying at a higher rate than anyone else. Secondly, we're freeing up some U.S. soldiers to go and fight in Iraq or maybe Iran, who knows. And we're out in front. We're out in front pushing other NATO allies to get on board, to get involved in Afghanistan. We're doing the kind of sales job that George Bush doesn't have to do, and we're giving him backup on the sales job that he's doing. We're giving legitimacy to their war. So, it's fashionable to sort of diminish the idea that Canada matters in the world, if anybody takes Canada seriously. That's a fashionable idea on the right here in Canada. In fact, the truth is Canada has a fair bit of respect in the world, partly deserved and partly undeserved. And what we're doing is we're taking that respect that we've got in the world and we're using it to help out the Americans gain legitimacy with their war on terror. That's the last thing we should be doing. We shouldn't be helping them gain political cover for what is an aggressive, unjust, illegitimate, lawless war. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be standing firm for the values that we believe in, which are to promote justice and decency and to obey international laws, not promote torture and killing of people around the world.
The book is Holding the Bully's Coat, Canada and the U.S. Empire. I've been speaking with the journalist, author Linda McQuaig, and Holding the Bully's Coat, published by Doubleday Canada.